Hello, students. Welcome back to your history class. I am Mrs. Janisha, and we are doing Chapter 9, the Industrial Revolution. Last class, we completed the question number 14, that was describe the conditions which prevailed in the industrial cities and factories as the Industrial Revolution spread, and then how the conditions were improved. We spoke about the acts. Today, we are going to compare the effects of the coming of railways in different countries in the world. Okay, how did it impact? How did railways impact the imperialist countries, and how did it impact the colonies? All right, let's start. Okay, the coming of railways had quite a different impact on the life of the imperialist countries and on the slave countries. We'll first discuss the impact of railways on imperialist countries. The imperialist countries like England, France, Holland, Portugal, Spain, they saw great advantages in building of railways. Hence, they showed lots of interest in building the railways and immediately started the work of laying the railway tracks. Imperialist government thought that they could govern their colonies better by building railways there. They thought they could better govern the colonies by by laying the tracks over there. They could get military assistance and other help from the mother countries at the time of crisis. They could also get build with the building of railways, external aggression and internal rebellions could be combated effectively because the railways had increased the mobility of troops from one place to another quite easier and faster. So it increased mobility of troops, and so aggression and internal could be combated better. Building of railways proved very beneficial for the imperialist countries as it enabled them to control the vast domestic market of the colonies. It also enabled them to control the vast market of the colony. It also became easier for them to obtain raw materials from their colonies to run their own factories and mills and to procure food grains to feed their population. So it was easier to procure raw materials and development of railways. The producers of iron and steel of the imperialist countries, they got a shot in the arm for the sale in their rocking stocks. With the development of railways, the bankers and investors of the capital of the imperialist countries, they got an opportunity to invest the surplus money. Capitalist got an opportunity to invest money and earn huge profit. Okay. Now we will look at the impact on colonies. The advent of railways had a mixed impact on the various colonial countries of Asia, Africa, and South America. It was beneficial to them in some sectors, but quite harmful in other sectors. Also, the percentage of loss was much greater. In the beginning, the building of railways had no advantage to the colonial countries. Their raw materials began to be taken to the ports, exporting them to the industrial countries. That was why the imperialist country had linked the interiors of the country to the ports. Railways accelerated the pace of economic exploitation of colonies. It accelerated the pace of economic. Their raw materials could now be sent easily in huge quantities to the imperialist countries. It became difficult for craftsmen of colonial countries to procure raw materials to run their own cottage industry. It became difficult for craftsmen to procure raw materials. Many of them became jobless and found themselves on the verge of starvation. Building of raw materials was a great benefit to the imperialist manufacturers because their finished goods began to flood the markets of the colonial countries and their profit increased manyfold. On the other hand, the colonial countries were ruined. Development of railways rendered the people of colonies unemployed and poor, whereas the imperialist people, such as traders, industrialists, banks, investors, etc., became very rich. So, railways became a major factor of exploitation of the people of the colonial country. So, these are the only 3 points. Of course, most of the points were repeated, so you must write it carefully. Okay, so this was the impact of railways on the different countries. Next question is, what conditions are today favorable for continuing the growth of industries in India? I repeat the question. What conditions are today favorable for continuing the growth of industries in India? India abounds in coal and iron ore deposits. These are essential for the development of industries. We can export our surplus coal and iron ore to other countries. So, number one is India has abundant coal and iron ore. Number two, we can export surplus We also have a lot of perennial rivers whose perpetual water flow can be used to generate, which can be used to generate electric power. Fourth, we can also produce abundant raw materials as we have vast agricultural potent. We have vast agricultural potential because of rich and fertile land. We also have a vast network of roads and railways and shipping industries. And so we can transport our goods not only within India but also outside India. We have a big market because of our big population. Indian goods are in great demand also in several Arabian and Asian countries. Indian goods have great demand in Asian and Arabian countries. We also have a good potential in capital as well. Besides, the foreign aid and the foreign investment can also help us with this respect. So we also have good capital. So these are all the points that favor the growth of industries in India today. All right. Okay, now we'll go to the long answer type questions. These have to be answered from 350 to 500 words, approximately 8 mark questions. So approximately 8 points, if not 8 points, at least valid points should be there. Good content, large content will come in these answers now. Okay, we finished all these. Now we're going ahead. First one is throw some meaning on, throw some light on the meaning and nature of industrial revolution. Now, this is a very theoretical answer. It's not in points form. So please sit with pen, paper, and your textbook so you can underline the points. It also includes a few definitions from some prominent people. During the second half of the 18th century and first half of 19th century, many changes took place in the field of industry. The term industrial revolution has been used to denote all those changes. Formerly, the things used to be manufactured at home with hand. Industries were small scale industries and on a very domestic platform. Small capitalists brought raw material and gave it to the employees who did their work from their own homes in their spare time. The capitalist also gave the material and tools as well as paid the wages to the employees. Slowly, the employees began to work with the help of machines in the factories that were started by the capitalist. All these changes taken together are known as industrial revolution. It is a change from handwork to machine work and from domestic system to factory system. H.A. Davies says the Industrial Revolution is a term which is used to express the change which was responsible of the adoption of the system of making things on a large scale in large factories with the aid of steam power, as opposed to the old system which was generally followed up to the middle of the 18th century of making goods in cottages or shops or workshops. Charles Beard has said, by industrial revolution, we mean the transformation which has been brought about during the past 150 years by the discoveries and inventions which have altered fundamentally the methods of production and distribution of means of life and consequently revolutionized all the economic functions of the society. Its essence was the adoption of large scale production by means of power driven machineries in big factories, which could be established and maintained only by a large expenditure of capital and worked by only organized groups of laborers. Unlike other revolutions, the Industrial Revolution was completely economic in nature. American, French, Russian Revolution all were accompanied by bloodshed, but Industrial Revolution was mainly very peaceful. It was a silent but mighty upheaval, while all other revolutions had a definite meaning and a definite end. The Industrial Revolution has no end. It was a constant process and it is still undergoing. Unlike other revolutions, industrial revolutions caused great sufferings to the workers and produced many sources of happiness for the capitalist. So this is how it was different from other revolutions. And we also spoke about two definitions of industrial revolution here. So with this, I want you all to read the textbook for the next question. What were the causes of industrial revolution? We've already discussed this in previous answers. So now I will just be writing down the points for you. Okay. Okay. Next question. What were the causes of industrial revolution? Again, what were the factors responsible for industrial revolution? Initially, we had done this chapter, this answer in short notes. Today, we are going to be doing it in the long notes, long answer type question. Okay. The Industrial Revolution began first of all in England, and there were many factors responsible for it. Some of them are increase in demand of English goods, England manufactured cheap and very useful goods such as woolen and linen cloth and iron and wooden articles. The demand for English goods went on increasing. In order to meet this demand and produce goods in large quantities, the Englishmen made new machines and invented new techniques of production. France manufactured luxury goods for the rich, and naturally the demand for them was inclined only towards the richer section of the society. The Englishmen possessed an inventive genius and were very enthusiastic and courageous. They enjoyed the freedom of thought and expression. There was free scope for experimentation, and government did not interfere in their daily life. In this atmosphere, Englishmen thought of new methods of production in different fields. As a result, large number of inventions were made by the English scientists and engineers, and this brought about a revolution in the industry of England. England had ample capital for large enterprises. England's supremacy overseas and her naval power greatly encouraged sea trade and commerce. As a result, the Englishmen had amassed a great wealth through their trade and industry. There was a lot of surplus capital available in the country that could be used for investment in different industries and installing new factories. The political and the social stability also helped in the growth of the industries. The Englishmen are patriotic and have great love for peace and order. Naval supremacy of England also kept her safe from the external attacks. The Whig leaders like Walpole followed a policy of peace and kept away from European wars and so saved England from the burden of costly wars. This, pol- this peaceful atmosphere and political stability enabled England to develop her industries on a large scale. The English naval supremacy was also helpful in the development of industries. The articles manufactured in the English factories could now be easily transported to various parts of the world and sold profitably. Her navy helped her to prevent her European rivals from exploiting the overseas market. England had a large colonial empire. From her colonies, she could get different raw materials at cheaper rates for her factories. These colonies also served as markets for English manufactured goods. France, Spain, and Holland had to depend on their own home markets for the disposal of their manufactured goods. Hence, they could not compete successfully with England. Iron and coal were available in England in large quantities. The iron and coal mines were also situated near to each other. Iron was used in making machines and factories, and coal provided cheap fuel for running the machines and the factories. The feudal system broke down in England earlier than any other country of Europe. The Agrarian Revolution preceded the Industrial Revolution in England. As a result, a large number of peasants were thrown out of employment. Such people shifted to the industries cities. Large number of laborers were now easily available in England who could be employed in factories. They were free men and they could move to any place they liked. France was still an agricultural country. The peasants were bound to their masters and they could not shift to cities easily. The rivers in England run very swiftly and that too all years round. It is quite easy to produce electricity from them cheaply and in large quantities. The availability of cheap power for factories went a long way in the development of industries in England. Immigration of artisans. Many Protestant artisans of Spain and France not only migrated to England because of religious persecution, but also settled over there permanently. English government provided them shelter and rendered the monetary help and in return made full use of their skills. This gave a great impetus to the industry in England. Napoleonic Wars. The Napoleonic Wars completely disrupted the peace and prosperity of the different European countries. England remained aloof from the rest of the continent and carried on her economic activities undisturbed. Napoleon enforced the continental system to check the export of English goods to European countries, but it proved as utter failure. England now brought raw materials from her colonies and also sold their manufactured goods over there. Different European countries were dependent on English goods, and this forced them to smuggle the English goods in one way or another. Instead of ruining the English commerce and industry, the Napoleon War actually gave an impetus to them. So, with this answer comes to an end. There are 11 points. If asked in your exam for 8 marks, you can write any 8 of these points and explain them. Explain each of these points in not more than 3 lines. Okay? You can make it 4 if required, but prefer to stick to 3. With this, children, I end today's class. Next class, we will do the next chapter, that is Industrial Revolution in the Cloth Industry. Okay? So, children, stay home, stay safe, take care, keep learning. Thank you.